Hello, and thank you for joining the IAT Insurance Group Loss Control Topic Virtual Series. Today we're talking about Pre-Employment Screening Program, also known as PSP. My name is Nick Martin. I'm a loss control specialist here at IAT Insurance Group. Between transportation and transportation insurance, I have over 30 years experience in loss control. Why did the FMCSA develop PSP? Launched in 2010 to improve highway safety, PSP was mandated by Congress in the Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equity Act, a legacy for users. It was the FMCSA's belief that making driver data available to potential employers, industry service providers, and drivers that it would improve the quality of data and help employers make more informed decisions when hiring commercial drivers. PSP also provides faster access to commercial driver performance compared to obtaining the information from the Freedom of Information Act or Privacy Act request. Does a motor carrier have to use PSP for hiring drivers? PSP is not a regulated matter. It is voluntary, and a carrier is not required to use the service according to any DOT regulation. It is, however, seen as a best practice across the industry. How do carriers obtain PSP data? To obtain a PSP, a motor carrier or industry service provider must enroll for a PSP account. The company managing the PSP program for the FMCSA is NIC Federal, LLC. Once enrolled, account holders are provided credentials to access the PSP online services and can access PSP via any major web browser. PSP records may also be obtained through industry service providers such as a driver screening company. The same data is also available to motor carriers and commercial motor vehicle drivers free of charge by submitting a Freedom of Information Act to the FMCSA. This slide identifies the home page for the PSP website that would start the process of registering, obtaining, and using PSP for your future hiring decisions. Who can request a PSP record? PSP data is available to account holders for the purpose of conducting pre-employment screening, and the account holders must have the driver's written authorization to obtain the information. That disclosure and authorization form is provided to the account holders in the agreement when they register for PSP. Can an account holder purchase PSP records for a motor carrier's current employees? The short answer is no. PSP records are only available for the purpose of pre-employment screening of new applicant drivers. Commercial motor vehicle drivers may, however, request their own PSP record at any time. That can be done by a commercial motor vehicle driver free of charge by submitting a Freedom of Information Act request to the FMCSA. Are there fees and subscriptions and transaction cost? When an account is activated, a subscription fee is charged depending on the fleet size of that carrier. For carriers with less than 100 power units, there is an annual $25 fee. Each transaction or PSP pulled from the database costs $10. Motor carriers with more than 100 power units are charged a $100 annual fee, and the same transaction rate is charged, $10 per PSP pulled from the database. Third-party service providers are charged $100 and $10 per transaction. If you use a third-party provider, please keep in mind that their fees to you may differ from that noted above. I am an individual driver. How do I enroll? An individual driver who wants to request their own PSP information for their own review can do so. There is no enrollment required, but creating a username and password is. The cost of an individual driver to obtain their own PSP data is $10 per transaction. The website to start the process is listed at the bottom of this slide. How does the driver's record from a state Department of Motor Vehicles fit into the process? A common misconception is that the information from a state motor vehicle division is part of the PSP data. State motor vehicle records are not available through PSP. Motor carriers must continue to request motor vehicle records from the state motor vehicle department. Exactly what type of information will I find in my PSP record? PSP records contain descriptions of any FMCSA reportable crashes that occurred in the last 5 years or roadside inspections that happened in the last 3 years. The record will show any crashes or inspections a driver was involved without indicating that these incidents were their fault. All records state where and when a crash or inspection occurred. Crash records also note any fatalities, injuries, or towaways, and inspection records display any co-driver involvement and out-of-service status when applicable. The PSP record does not assign a score or point values. This is a sample PSP report. As you can see at the top, it identifies driver information. That's followed by the last 5 years of crash activity, which is followed by the last 3 years of inspection activity. PSP has the data that you need to hire safe drivers. According to a study released by the FMCSA in 2013, PSP positively impacts the safety of America's roadways. The study shows that carriers using PSP have, on average, decreased crash rates by 8% and driver out-of-service rates by 17%. It is estimated that in the 12 months studied, the carrier group using PSP prevented 863 crashes and more than 3,500 driver out-of-service incidents. Thank you again for joining the IAT Insurance Group Loss Control Topic virtual series. If you'd like to provide feedback or have suggestions for future topics, please contact Cynthia Scarborough. Cynthia can be reached at cynthia.scarborough@iatinsurance.com. Thank you again.